What worries me is, and it's different for you because you're a real musician. As far as I know, we haven't met in person. You might just be really great AI, but you have a skill set you're bringing to the technology and then sharpening and learning and having a conversation with it. And like, I am extremely against using it. And part of that reason, for various reasons, but part of it, when it comes to creating, is I worry about losing the muscles it takes to create from scratch, and then being accustomed to letting the machine do a lot of that heavy lifting, and then when you take away that urgency of creating for artists, where does that lead to the future? And I could be being hyperbolic. I kind of do believe it, though, is that at some point it could just erase everyone from being anything. I don't know, because on the flip side, people might start rejecting things that are AI, but then on another angle is people, like you were saying, they might not care what it is or even be able to tell. We're already seeing videos of like those girls that were floating around on Twitter that people were saying were AI. I don't know if they really were or not, but they did. If they were AI, that looked very good. And the hands were fine. They were looking, they were smiling. It was very realistic. So I do worry about the far-reaching consequences of that technology. And then to bring it to where I want to go with what you're saying, presidential campaigns, is it's literally breaking down reality to the point where just because we know these things can exist means we question everything. Doesn't mean everything is AI. But like you were mentioning the Kamala plane picture where people are saying, the reflections aren't in the plane. Trump was saying it was fake, or paid actors, which the paid actors thing is, you can go look up websites that is a real thing. People can pay to go be protesters or go to rallies, whatever. But on top of that, I'm also, since I can get kind of schizo with reality, I'm like, there's someone on Kamala's team or on the internet who's just photoshopping out the reflections of people just to make me feel crazy.
So there's you are spot on. I mean, we've been schizo posting for a long time now.
No.
So when the normies are starting to do our schizo posts, then I'm like, no, this is real. This MFer is real. You know what I mean?
Right. It's like watching your favorite underground band get mainstream all of a sudden, because it's like your schizo underground ideas have now populated the highest parts of society. So what's your take on that now? If we're in a world where these campaigns, no one believes anything, what's next?
No, they're going to be like, oh, there's a firmament. Elon Musk's space is fake. We're ready for that.
And then what? What do you do?
It's going to be the next thing, right? So they can deep fake anything that they want now. Mm-hmm. Like right now, they're just testing the waters, basically. I think. I think that the latest. It's just interesting how when Biden was inaugurated, I was like, fake, it's all fake. And it's been fake for so long now. Mm-hmm. And then now it's actually just becoming the mainstream for everyone to question. And like, oh, Biden's tall, or they got a double. And at this point, it's a ritual. It's trolling. Mm-hmm. It's sinister, it's desperate, it's all these things.
You're saying on their end to show us all this fake stuff so proudly is what's sinister, is what you're saying?
I think it's sinister, but it's also they're getting cocky and sloppy, and also it's breaking down. I know I'm trying to have it all the different ways at the same time,
but that's how it is.
It's that hyper awareness that we are all noticing these things, that they are having to just double down on all of it. And I think it's causing the breakdown for sure.
I mean, reality is collapsing in on itself. It's
kind of, but everywhere. Not like the old version of reality, if that makes sense. Right?
I think it's fun. But it's scary if you're raising kids.
Accelerationists, it's a grand old time, right? I've been sort of dicking around most of my adult life just watching all this unfold. Makes sense.
You speak of accelerationism. I believe the bad ones are trying to take down reality, but then there's the effective, I think they call themselves the effective accelerationists, who are they would say is a positive to it. And I see the positive to it, but it's also, as a parent, worried about actually reality collapsing, because I want a world to raise my kids in.
No, and I want to, and you were saying about the danger of using AI, and to get back to that. So as a veteran songwriter, it's very tiring and exhausting to write your own songs. And so it's nice to sort of have that creative process be joined a little bit. And so, but as a younger person, that's what I'm like, they are going to have this crutch for them. And then there's, what is reality? What is creation anymore? What is any of that? So the generational perspective is a big one. And as a person who makes a living or made a living playing piano with my hands, right? So someone needs look, you can't, the AI is the music production is dead. You will never be able to make it as a music producer again, unfortunately. But what you can do is learn to play an instrument, and you can play in a band, you can play live shows, and you can do what I do is I play with choirs, I play with musicals, I play at churches. All these things require a human, and I'm sure that there's going to be AI versions of all that, and they're going to be adopted, whatnot. But the type of thing that I do, so I'm seeing a danger. There aren't very many. There's sort of people they watch YouTube videos and they know how to play scales. But someone says, "Hey, we need you to sub in for this musical," and you have to come in and read a whole musical that you just got the sheet music of the day before. No one knows how to do that anymore. So there's going to be the folks like me once this current thing collapses, because right now we are completely ignored and have been for decades. And this is just me being glass half full, but highly sought after. We're going to be just treated really well and hopefully inspire the next generation. That's
why I mean, as bad as everything seems with everything we talk about that we're going to get into in a minute, I still have hope, because I see that. I see a lot of people also returning to things of the past who want to have, actual handmade things or go see actual music live, because there's nothing like that. If I walk into a church and there's a hologram playing the keyboard, I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah, right?
I'm done.
That's some...
It's going to happen. New York City's going to have it.
Oh, no. I'm not going to lie, though. I kind of wish we had some AI producing the show.
No, I'd rather have all the warts.
Take my job.
I'd rather have all the warts to things, especially in what we create, than having something perfect. I don't believe even perfect exists, even with AI, but maybe at some point it will. But like, I grew up listening to all punk rock, and it was all just a lot of stuff recorded without metronomes, without a click track, no quantizing drums. And I like that real human breathing quality to music, which is why I think you're right. There will be an appetite for actual people making actual music, and it's going to happen, but it will probably sever, where there's going to be a lot of people wanting to go down the AI menu. We've
already severed. We've split. Yeah. We've been reality tunneled so hard in our little narrative, whatever. It's bad.
I agree.
And that's part of this whole thing. You think that everyone is agreeing with you but you've been put in this reality tunnel. So
okay. Well, to go to something a little lighter now, 9/11. You made a great video about 9/11. I saw you talking about direct energy weapons. I saw this video where you're talking about Crowley. How old were you for 9/11? How old were you when 9/11 happened?
How old was I?
Yeah.
Well, I was a junior in high school.
Oh, okay, so we're about the same age.
Yeah, but I was a little young, so I think I was 15, almost 16.
Okay, so like we inherited this crazy world, whereas
and we were basically adults, or almost.
Yeah.
We had lived enough. It's not like we were 10 or 11. Like, I was thinking, I was being skeptical. I was not necessarily red pilled or whatever, anything, but I was a full of it teenager. I'm like, oh, I'm a good piano player, blah blah blah. But that was a big event where I'm like, oh, there's something weird happening.
That's what I was going to ask. That's what I was going to ask. Really?
Bin Laden on the screen. I'm like, nah. You knew that way too fast.
So you knew immediately. Was there something that happened beforehand, like before 9/11, that prepped you to see the news differently? When that all broke, or was it just a gut thing that you had in you?
I think that was. I don't think so. I don't think I question it. I'll take that back. When that 2000 election happened with the Gore,
nice
Gore, but the Boar,
the hanging Chad, yeah,
the Boar Kush. No, was it the giant douche and turd sandwich, or was that the other one?
Oh yeah.
Because that dragged out for a whole month or something.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't the way that I remember. And I mean, I woke up. I mean, I started listening to the news when the Lewinsky thing was happening, right? And I saw the O.J. Simpson thing happen. I'm like, this is all really weird. Same. It was just a weird time to grow up as a kid, and everything was, all the narratives we were just getting a few news sources. I wasn't even on the internet,
right?
But I think so. When 9/11 happened, I didn't buy it, and I remember when I got my first car, it must have been early 2002. Someone left a little bill on my windshield. I parked it downtown, and it was like George W. Bush in the thing, right? A money currency, and it had a bunch of conspiracy websites. So this is before InfoWars, before any of that.
Amazing.
It was just, and I'm like, look at that. So I went to my school when we had the internet, and I typed some of those in there, and I'm like, oh, they flew out all the bin Ladens on the day, the family that day. And they had connections with the Bush family. I'm like, wait a second, what? Yeah. And this was the early days of the internet before everything was so, I mean, I don't even know if Google, I probably wasn't even using Google. I'm probably using Yahoo search or whatever.
Right.
So it opened me up to all that stuff. And it really wasn't until college that I really started taking the Bill Cooper, Alex Jones plunge.
Yeah. Two great guys. So like I was saying earlier, being the jester in the times of a crisis, or even talking about things that were a crisis in the past, people get very mad when you talk about 9/11.
So I was at unfortunately, we can actually talk about this later because it ties into some of my past experiences. But I was at a really bad liberal arts college. I dropped out of 3 semesters, never looked back. But when I was there, the Iraq war was going strong, and I was like, guys, this is, we should protest, and they were all just interested in the drag ball, the drag night, and like everything that, and all the pronouns were already a thing. Like when I applied to my co-op there was 20 pronouns.
Wow. Was this in California?
In 2003.
Was this California?
What's that?
Was this California?
So this was actually at Oberlin in Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
Basically ground zero for
Oberlin. Yeah.
liberal.
I went to a liberal arts school too.
I didn't even know what I was walking into a bear trap.
You learned a lot there, I'm sure.
Anyway, but I was just, a dumb kid back then. I was just wanting to play rock and roll and play piano and have a good time, And anyway, I remember they were just more interested in all that. They didn't care about so the guy who I was named after, my neighbor, Lieutenant Kylan Huffman, he was killed in Iraq, serving in Iraq. He was a few years older than I was. A brilliant dude, top. He went to the same high school as me, and when that happened, I'm like, this is crazy that this is happening, and nobody cared, nobody noticed. Yeah. So when I made my first YouTube video in 2006. I've been at this a while, and I started doing anti-war songs on YouTube. Now I was also doing ragtime piano, so the regular stuff. Right. But then I noticed 2007, 2008, I was doing anti-war, anti-banker songs. And I noticed those videos were getting a fraction of the views. And it wasn't that, sure, it wasn't for everybody, right? But it was more than that. It wasn't as accessible. Like I noticed something was happening with my channel. And this was before, if you said, YouTube is censoring me, and Google was just buying YouTube around then. So this was right at the beginning of all that. Alex Jones was still on YouTube, but I noticed that something wasn't right about all that. And, being on Reddit as well, I was trying to put my stuff on Reddit. Right. And I remember they would always be like, oh, who's this dumb white dude, a straight white male? I'm like, what? Like, this was before the identity politics was a thing. And like, what does it have to do? It should be the quality of the product, not what I look like. And,
no, it's too much to ask for.
Yeah, right.